Well, good evening, future techies. My name is Ryan Kirchner, and I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment here for the Purdue Polytechnic Institute. I want to welcome you to the first of two YouTube live broadcasts that give you the opportunity to hear from current Purdue Polytechnic students about their experiences that they have on campus. Tonight we'll be talking about the student experience and the ways that you can get involved as a Purdue student. We have three Polytechnic student ambassadors here with us tonight, and in a minute I'll have them introduce themselves. Just a couple of housekeeping things real quick. First, you can send any questions you might have through our chat function in the window. You will need to sign in with a Google account and create a YouTube channel first, but don't worry, you don't have to post any videos after you're done here. You can just chat with us, and we have some students behind the scenes who are going to be answering some questions, but also forwarding some of those questions on to us so our students can talk about them. We can also send an email to techrecruit@purdue.edu, and those students are also monitoring that email and will respond to those questions and send those to me as well. So at this time, I'll have all our ambassadors introduce themselves, and we'll get started with some topics that we have ready to go. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, tell us about your major, where you're from, and a little bit why you chose Purdue Polytechnic.
Hi, my name is Riddhi Adyantaya, and I'm from Bangalore, India, and my major is Computer and Information Technology. I chose Purdue Polytechnic because I could also have some programming experience and have more of hands-on and be prepared for my future.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jake Leffler, and I'm a senior in computer graphics technology with a minor in computer and information technology as well. I'm from Waldron, Indiana, and I chose Purdue Polytechnic because the Polytechnic really had a great program that fit my needs, and I loved the hands-on approach that they offered, so that's why I'm here.
Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Allen. I'm originally from San Francisco, California, and my major is organizational leadership. I chose Purdue Polytechnic because my major is kind of more people-based, and I like the fact that Polytechnic kind of gave me that aspect of technology and people, and it gave me that hands-on approach as well. So that's kind of what brought me to Purdue.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for the introductions. So first and foremost, you're here to get a degree, and obviously part of that is taking different classes and getting those lab experiences. So could you tell us a little bit about what your classes are like, what your labs are like, about the faculty members that you've interacted with, what kind of relationships that you built with them as well, just to give our students out there watching a little bit of understanding of what classes and academics are like here on campus.
Okay, so my classes are actually, there are not too many people in it, so I think that's a good thing, so the professor can actually pay attention to each student. And apart from that, I think that it's a really interactive class, so we have a lot of group activities and case studies, so it actually helps us interact with every student. And about the labs, you have really interesting ideas, like maybe Harry Potter, or they take like current events and come up with labs, which makes it really interesting for us to work on it. And about my professors, I think every professor I've had a class with has been really helpful because they've helped me with my career decisions, my leadership skill decisions, and they've helped me with almost every aspect of my life, which I think has been really good.
So we've talked a little bit about the lab-based courses that we have here in the Polytechnic, and almost all of the classes that you have here are going to have labs associated with them. And the great part about those, and especially what I like about them, is that I have the opportunity to not only go to class and learn about the theory and all of the information behind the scenes, but then also go to the lab and have the opportunity to put it to use, try some real-world situations, see how I can handle them, and then that way I'm ready to apply that information when I get a job and I'm ready to go into the workforce.
Yeah, so with my classes, I would say they're very project-based. One of the best things I think about my program and the Polytechnic in general is that a lot of the professors have a lot of industry experience, and so when they are giving you case studies or they put you in a situation, it's not something that they just randomly created, it's something that they have handled themselves. And so it's a kind of another approach where you can get that real-world experience, and I've really felt that through my major with teamwork, collaboration, and kind of figuring out not necessarily the easy situations, but they kind of put you through maybe what could be one of the more difficult situations, and really putting you in that real world situation. So I really like that professors are kind of approachable, and they really do put you in realistic problem solving situations that require critical thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I will say, add in that about 80% of our undergraduate courses taught with the Polytechnic are taught by academic faculty members, so they're tenure track, full professors who have a lot of that industry experience, that real world experience that they can bring to the lecture and the lab experiences, so they really can connect what you're learning in the classroom to what's actually applied and useful in the real world as well. So I want to move on to something a little more fun, hopefully. At Purdue here, we have about 1,000 student organizations. Within the Purdue Polytechnic Institute, about 60 of them. So a lot of different opportunities for you to get involved on campus. So I want to ask the group, what are some of the student organizations within the Polytechnic that you've been involved in? And then outside of the Polytechnic, what have you been able to do? What kind of activities have you taken part in? Any leadership roles within those organizations as well? And Lindsay, we'll start with you this time.
All right, so obviously one of the organizations that we're all involved in is Purdue Polytechnic Ambassadors. I highly recommend it. It's a really fun way to get involved and learn about all the majors within the Polytechnic, and really it allows you to make an impact within the college. You get to talk to the families, the students that come here and participate in all the recruiting events, and really talk to the families and get them to understand kind of why Polytechnic is the way it is. And it really, for me, that kind of sparks an interest just because you get to see the students kind of connect with the Polytechnic and really get excited about it. And, I can kind of relate with that, all of us being freshmen at that one point, kind of not knowing where you want to go. So having that impact has been great. And then another organization that I'm a part of outside Polytechnic, I'm actually with the Dean of Students. I get to be a Community Standards Board member. So basically, I work with the Dean of Students and help out students who have kind of come in conflict with their contracts at Purdue, and kind of talk to them and counsel them on what their next steps can be. So that's kind of a fun aspect for me just because it's kind of more compliance based, and that relates with my major a little bit. So that's kind of one of the more the other organizations that I'm a part of outside of Purdue Polytechnic.
So a majority of my time has been spent as part of the Polytechnic Ambassadors, and just to add a little bit to what Lindsay talked about, there are lots of opportunities for leadership within these organizations, and it's a great opportunity to build your skills if you're not maybe quite as confident as a leader or looking to be a leader in the workforce, and there's that opportunity for you to get that experience again here at Purdue. Lindsay and I are both senior leaders in the ambassador program. I myself am a senior ambassador.
And then I'm the recruitment, training, and engagement coordinator for the Purdue Polytechnic Ambassadors.
Right, so we have a lot of opportunity for us to work on our skills and our abilities, and grow here as a student at Purdue.
In Polytechnic, I think I'm mainly only the Purdue Polytechnic Ambassador, which has been a really good experience because it's my first time and I already got to learn a lot from everyone else. And outside the Polytechnic, I'm also a part of the Dean of Students, but I'm a new member there as well, so I'm still learning on how the organization works, and I'm learning it from a lot of other people. And I also participated in the Boiler Gold Rush as a team leader, and it's one of the biggest orientation programs in the United States. And getting to meet a lot of new students and sharing their experience with them has been a really interesting time for me.
All right, and as you can see on the border of our chat window here, our fearless leader behind the scenes, John, has put up a couple links that you can check out. The first one on the top there is the Polytechnic student organizations, and then we also have the student organizations for the overall Purdue campus. As I mentioned before, we have over 1,000 organizations, but if there isn't one that necessarily fits exactly what you're looking for, you can just start one yourself. Get a few students together, create a constitution and an organizational mission, and you can create that constitution that's supported by the Purdue student government and our many offices here that really help you get involved on campus. Student involvement is a great way to help you succeed, help you understand what you're learning in the classroom. As Lindsay said, using that in the Dean of Students community standards, you really get that opportunity here with the Polytechnic student organizations as well. A lot of our students will go on to do some case competitions, travel around the country, and really apply the skills that they're getting from the classroom in those organizations beyond that. So I want to move on to the residence life experience. So I'm assuming most of you lived on campus, at least your freshman year. So what was it like living in the residence halls on campus? What was great? What was some of the challenges potentially? What are some opportunities that your RA gave you potentially to get involved as well beyond just living there together? You want to start?
Okay. This is my third year in the residence halls, and it's been a really interesting experience, I think all 3 years. When I first came here as a freshman, I was an international student, and I was kind of scared of how people would be with me, and I was kind of apprehensive of leaving home and coming here. But I think my RA was pretty encouraging to go out, make new friends, and she had more floor activities, like we had floor dinners, and we would go out to bowling or go to the Union to grab a milkshake and stuff. So it was really good experience, and I actually got a lot of new friends over there. And same with the second year, because I was in Windsor that time, and it was an all-girls residence hall. And that was pretty much interesting because I got to meet a lot of different people, and they would actually get everyone together from every single building. So I got to meet a lot of people from different cultures, and they had a lot of activities where you could actually talk to people about their cultures and get to know that no matter where you're from, you're actually the same. Like you have some similarities with each other, and I think those experiences were what stood out to me the most.
I've had a little bit of a different experience in that I lived in a residence hall, but it wasn't a dorm per se. It was more of an apartment style living, which was a good experience for me. I've actually lived in university residences for all 4 years of my time here at Purdue. So it was myself and 2 other roommates in an apartment style room. Our RAs have been great. We do all kinds of different things, from playing capture the flag on the hill. Hilltop has gone to Chicago a couple times. They've gone ice skating. They do movie nights. We have a fire pit, so there's s'mores all the time, which is awesome. So we do a lot of different things, and even though it's more of an apartment style, we actually do have a community as well.
And then my freshman year, I lived in McCutcheon Hall, which the one challenge was it was a little far from campus, but I really enjoyed that just because when it was like nice out, I got to take that walk and kind of go through campus and see everything my freshman year, so that was kind of cool. And that kind of allowed me to go to other like dorms and visit my friends and like see how the other dorms were. But my freshman year, my RA was absolutely amazing. She was there for me no matter what I asked. She had great activities set up. We got to decorate the floor for Thanksgiving, Christmas, any holiday, you name it, we decorated for it. We had a bunch of other activities like nail painting, obviously, because it was about the girls' floor, crafts, things like that. So that was really fun. And it was kind of a really good support system that I got to meet a lot of people on that floor and kind of see everyone around my building. I don't know, learning communities, can I talk about that?
Yeah, well, we're actually going to move into that, so if you want to start talking about. We also have with the Polytechnic Institute, actually we have 8 different learning communities now. There's at least one associated with each of the academic departments that we have with the Polytechnic Institute, and then an additional one, the Women in Technology learning community, that's available for any student who's interested in the success of women in the fields of technology. So yeah, actually, if you want to go ahead and transition right into that, go for it.
So the learning community that I was a part of my freshman year was the leadership learning community, and mine didn't require a live-in component, but I would say most do. So basically what a learning community is, you get to like live on the same floor in the same dorm as the people in the learning community, and so you'll be taking classes with them, or you might have an overlap in activities or things like that, and you kind of find like similar interests and things like that. So it's a great support system. And some of the learning communities are actually ran by faculty. Mine was actually ran by a faculty member my freshman year that I ended up grading and TAing for in my junior year. So that was kind of a good connection and network opportunity as well. But it was just a really good way to like meet the people that were in my major that were a couple years ahead of me, and that kind of helped me to kind of become acclimated to the campus and kind of just help me out with any questions on my courses or anything like that. So it was a really good networking opportunity with them, but also just kind of to ask them questions in a support system. So I really enjoyed the learning community. So,
Jake, did you participate in one as well?
I did not. No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. And Ridhi, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
In my freshman year, I was in the Computer and Information Technology learning community. Well, they didn't have the living component in it, so we would just have maybe activities once every 2-3 weeks where everyone would actually get together and a professor would organize some events, maybe like game night or movie night, and that's where everyone would meet up. And sometimes we would have like study sessions through that, so like if we have any doubts about courses, because most of us would be freshmen there, obviously, so we would actually like solve our questions and ask like if we have any doubts, and everyone would be very helpful over there, including the professors. So I think it was a nice chance to even interact with the professor, because he'd usually be there, so we would actually talk to him outside the classroom, and it would be really interesting because you'd get a lot of information from them, not just about academics but about like everything.
Absolutely. And just to elaborate a little bit more about what learning communities are here at Purdue in general, they're typically about 20 to 30 first-year students who take 2 or 3 academic courses. As Lindsay mentioned, you, in most cases, have the option to live together, or you are required to live in the same area of a residence hall, but it does give you that support system, that connection right there in the residence hall, as well as that coursework that you take. The different activities absolutely help support you in that transition to Purdue, connect you with different resources, and really get you acclimated. And John has the website up right now for the Polytechnic learning communities that are available to you. It's beyond just the 7 or the 8 academic learning communities that we have, are learning communities that are available to any student in Purdue. So if you have a specific interest in maybe leadership development or volunteerism, things like that, you have the opportunity to get involved in those learning communities as well. So this may be, thinking back a little bit, since you two are seniors and you're a junior, do you remember your STAR Day or BGR?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell a little bit about what STAR was first, and then we'll move into BGR beyond that? So what was that experience like? How did it go? Meet with your advisor, things like that. Lindsay, you want to
Yeah, sure. So my STAR Day, that was only the second time actually that I had been to Purdue. So it was another kind of learning experience for me. I got to walk around the campus and really get myself acclimated to the atmosphere there. I actually got to meet my roommate for the first time, so that was a really good experience for me too. She was from an area around here, so she didn't have to drive too far, but I flew in with my parents, and they were really nice, and I got to meet up with her, had lunch with her, and I got to meet my advisor, who actually was one of the crucial people that kind of brought me here and really sold me on the program. And so we got to meet up with her again and kind of talk about my curriculum and talk about what classes would be best for me to take, and based on my credits that I was taking from high school to here. But she was really great with the process and really helped it be as smooth as it could be. And another thing that I would highlight too, I actually was able to test out of some credits. So when you come for STAR, there are opportunities to test out of foreign language credits and a bunch of other classes. It's basically you walk into a computer lab or some type of lab. It might be a little different depending on what you're testing out for, but I ended up taking Spanish and tested out of 6 credits. I know a lot of people do that just kind of, they just kind of go for it, not necessarily knowing if they're going to pass, but I definitely would recommend it even if you're not sure if you have mastered it or you kind of have lost some of the skills from high school, but that was one of the things that I would definitely take advantage of during the STAR Day if you have that opportunity.
Yeah, so my STAR date was very similar to Lindsay's, but I think one of the things that was most helpful for me was to get to understand the process of signing up for your courses, know what you're going to be taking when you step foot on Purdue's campus for the first time in the fall as a real student. So it was really nice that there was a bunch of people in the computer lab helping us all figure out what we needed to take, how to work with the system, solve any problems that we may have run into with overlapping courses or some kind of requirement necessary. So that was a really big plus for me. And as part of that, I got to meet my advisor, who I'll be working with for 4 years, talk to him about my particular interests and what I wanted to get out of my experience here at Purdue, and help shape my curriculum in my first semester around those my needs.
Okay. Since I'm an international student, I couldn't really come for STAR, so my first experience with Purdue was during BGR. And I think BGR was a really good experience because they had a lot of events which would help us transition into college life, like maybe how would your classes be, or how would maybe some issues that you would face in when you're coming in from another country, like maybe the cultural differences. And we had the team leaders were very encouraging, and I'm still very close to my team leader. Whenever I have there's some achievement I have to talk to him about, he's still available for me anytime, which I think is a really good thing. So BGR is mainly the time when you can make new friends, because you'd get to meet a lot of people maybe from other teams, and you'll all be together in a room, so you'll actually get a chance to interact with other people. Maybe you can also find people who are the same major. You might end up being best friends. I got one of my best friends during BGR, so I think it's a really good experience. And after that, I was so happy that I actually became a team leader. So I think BGR is a really good if you all are coming here, I encourage you all to actually do your best during BGR, make new friends, because it'll help a lot in your 4 years here.
Yeah, so I also attended BGR, and it was a really good experience. Like what he said, for me especially, just to be on campus for a week before the older students got here, just to kind of learn the ways around, so I didn't have to look at a map on day one. I could just walk right to my classes, so that was nice. My team leader was awesome. She had a lot of energy. She was always dancing around campus, which was, kind of cool at the time. So it was nice. She helped break the ice and get me acclimated to Purdue. It was great because my team was very involved and got to kind of get used to communicating and networking on campus before school actually started.
Yeah, so some of the events that I really remember from PGR, a lot of them were kind of more academic based, where I really got to see the different types of buildings and where the majors were housed, and we got to do fun traditions like jump over the railroad tracks on campus. We got to do fountain runs, so you run through all the fountains on campus while they're all running. We got to do like midnight Target and Meijer runs, which were really fun. They like bus you over to the store, and a bunch of the stuff is like half off, and it's super cheap for students, and that was kind of fun and interesting. They have a lot of music going, so that was a really fun experience. But yeah, BGR is just a great way to kind of break down all the barriers, and everyone's in the same spot you are. You're a freshman on campus. You don't really know what you're doing, and that's what you're there for. And you have a whole week to kind of acclimate yourself and just really get into it. And they have other really fun events, like I think there was a hypnosis or whatever, a guy that did it one year, which was really fun. So they plan a lot of really fun events where you can kind of go onto like even the sports facilities too. They put you on Ross-Ade Field, and they do pictures and things like that. So it's just different opportunities that you might not be able to get during the year that they kind of specialize with the freshmen or whoever the students are going to BGR. So it's a really, really fun time.
Okay, awesome. Speaking of fun times, what would you say are some other fun activities around campus, whether it's going to sports events or just really what's there to do here in West Lafayette on the campus and around town? Jake, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Sure. So definitely, as Ryan said, you never will go to a sporting event and leave bored. Purdue Sports is an awesome opportunity. A lot of the tickets are really cheap. They give students a nice discount, so you have the opportunity to go to a lot of different events, a lot of different types of sports, hang out with your friends, maybe decompress from the week a little bit, spend some time with your friends instead of with your nose in a book, which is nice. But yeah, so that would be my suggestion. Check out some sports.
Yeah.
One of the things that like in the Purdue Memorial Union, which is kind of in the center of campus, they have really cool events. Sometimes they host like free movies that you can go and see in one of the theaters. They have really cheap like bowling and arcade games. There's a bowling alley like in the Union that's discounted for students. So I've done that quite a few times. I really like to bowl, so that's one really fun thing that you can do in there. Trying to think what else. Definitely sporting events, as he said. I'm a huge sports person. Basketball and football are always really fun time. You would not believe the student spirit here. It's incredible. It's so fun. Volleyball is a really popular one too, but there's any sporting event, Purdue pretty much has it. So it's, and the tickets are super discounted, so it's really easy to go and just get involved. There's a special like student section called the Paint Crew for the basketball team that you can sign up for, which is absolutely insane, but it's so fun. So there's different ways that you can kind of get involved in the events too. So those are probably my suggestions.
Like Jake and Lindsay said, sporting events are a must. And apart from that, like there are some organizations like maybe the Purdue Student Union Board, which like plays a movie like every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. Like so it'll be like an interesting movie, so you can grab your friends and go because they're all free. So it's a really nice way to actually like have some fun. And there are a lot of some organizations put up like a shows like maybe the improv comedy and things like that, and they're really stress relieving. Cause I end up going for like almost every improv comedy session ever since I went for the first one, because it's usually on a Friday night and it's usually like the end of the week, and you're like before the weekend you can actually go and like laugh your heart out. So it's really interesting time. And another thing, what I usually do is when the weather is beautiful, it's always nice to go around a walk here because it's really peaceful. And like going around campus, going around the buildings, engineering mall, coming to the engineering mall is one of my favorite things to do because it's a nice place to just sit with a book and calm down and things like that. So it's a really nice place. You just have to explore.
Sorry, one more thing too. We have a really big convocations organization here. And we have had so many good concerts, and a lot of them actually they host for free on Slater Hill, which is kind of on the outskirts of campus a little bit, but it's a really fun, really big lawn where they have a lot of free concerts, and you can just like bring a blanket, bring a bunch of friends, and you can just sit out there and listen to a concert, which is really fun. And then there's a lot of concerts in Elliott, our music hall. And I mean, we've had such a wide range of people come. We've had orchestras, country singers, rap singers. I mean, we've had quite a wide range. So that's really fun to go to too. And for the students, the tickets are discounted. So I would definitely recommend looking into that because they have a lot of events that go on every semester. So
Absolutely, very good point. So we actually have a question from our chat that I just want to address real quick. Somebody asked about the STAR program and signing up and hearing about who their actual advisor would be. So I believe that is assigned to you once you actually arrive to your STAR date in June or July. And unfortunately, you won't be able to sign up for your classes earlier than that. So just want to let you know that the STAR date is when you do come for campus. That's when you do sign up for your classes. Or if you're participating in virtual STAR, if you aren't able to make it to campus, then you would sign up on your assigned registration time block, essentially. So unfortunately, you won't be able to sign up earlier than that, but trust me, there are plenty of ways to sign up for your classes. The way the registrar manages course space is great, so everybody has an equal opportunity to get into the same kind of courses that anybody would want to get into. So you won't be left out of getting into some courses in most cases. So I just want to let you all know that. That was a question that we had about STAR. So have anybody studied abroad here? No, Lindsay, I think you might be the only one. So
Yeah.
What was your study abroad experience like? Where did you go? How long was it? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So last summer, I actually got the opportunity to study abroad in Sydney, Australia, for a summer session, which is 8 weeks. And it was kind of unique too because not only did I get to take 2 classes while I was there, but I also got to hold a part-time internship that was directly in my major, which was a really cool experience because I got to kind of figure out, so I want to go into human resources, and kind of comparing how human resources is here to Sydney, Australia. Was a big learning curve too. It was a great experience because I got to go with 35 other Purdue students. There was a faculty member with us the entire time, and they put us up in housing that was made for international students. So it had all the amenities that we could ever ask for. It had a gym, it had a game room, it had a front desk so we could ask questions. There was a courtyard with a barbecue in it. It was great. So we got to kind of bond with other Purdue students that way, and also obviously make friends while we were there. So it was a great experience just to kind of go out, travel. I love to travel, so it was an easy choice for me. But there are plenty of other opportunities that you can go for semester. You can go Maymester, but it depends on the length of time that you want to go. But there are so many programs available that if you're really into traveling or you're really interested in studying abroad, I would definitely recommend it because the Office for Study Abroad makes it so easy to sign up and get right into the program. And one thing that I like to highlight too, I know a lot of people think that sometimes that can delay your graduation or that can get in the way of your curriculum, but that hasn't happened to anyone that I know. Most of the time, the classes that you do take there, they're not classes that are going to stray from your plan of study, so it keeps you on track and you're taking classes that are actually very useful towards your major. So I would definitely recommend studying abroad. I had an amazing experience, but that's just me.
No, you're right. Purdue in general emphasizes that a lot of students, we try to encourage as many students as possible to study abroad. There are some scholarships available depending on the length of time that you want to study. So if you get a full semester, there's a little bit more money than you do for a Maymester or some summer session. Purdue Polytechnic has the Office of Globalization that has partnered with institutions around the world to continue your studies and make sure that the courses that you're taking there don't hinder you from finishing your plan of study beyond where you wanted to. But it also really just is a great opportunity to get out of the country and see some other cultures and really broaden your perspective a lot. So you mentioned you had an internship during your study abroad. Have you had any other internships? Anybody in between, maybe during your summers or even maybe during school? You want to talk about those experiences as well, internship experiences?
Yeah, sure. So actually every summer that I've been at Purdue, I've been able to hold an internship, and 2 out of the 3 have been through Purdue. One resource that we have that's amazing here is the CCO, so it's the Career Center for Opportunities, and it's a great place to just go. They have places where you can get your resume critiqued, you can do mock interviews. They have an online website where a bunch of companies have their job postings up there, so you can apply on there. It's just a great opportunity to kind of connect in that professional setting to Purdue. So they have that available, and it's you have an account for that once you become a student. So that's really easy to access, and that's how I've gotten most of my internships was through CCO. But all 3 of my internships have been directly within my major, HR, and they've been in California and obviously in Australia. So in all different types of industries. So I've had a really wide range of responsibilities and job positions, but it's been an amazing experience, and I have Purdue to thank for that.
So I have also had 3 internships during my time here at Purdue. 2 of them have been actually during the semester. So among my classes, I would go to a building here on campus and do my duties for the day, learn some skills, get to apply what I'm learning in the classroom. So that's a really great opportunity because I can earn some cash during the semester, which is always nice. And I also had 1 summer internship that was also a really great experience. I really think that there are skills that you get in an internship that you just can't be taught in a classroom, and it's a great opportunity for you to build your skills and get to try out some of those things that you wouldn't have been able to do in the classroom, and it just makes you more marketable when you're ready to go search for a job. So the companies really like you to get that extra experience. And again, Purdue makes it really accessible to you, not only through the CCO, but also through the multiple career fairs that they have throughout both semesters. So Purdue makes it easy for you to find something.
After my sophomore year, I had an internship back in India at a startup, but I can say that everything I learned at Purdue, like in the first 2 years, actually helped me over there, helped me go through the internship. I learned a lot of new things, but I also got to apply everything I learned in my classes, which was really interesting. And then when I went to the career fairs, I got a chance to meet all the companies and all the representatives and learn a lot about each of the companies. So I think it was good about we had a networking event before career fairs as well, which also gave us opportunities to go and interact with them personally, like talk outside that environment, so we could actually get to know each other better, which was very helpful. And it also helped me get an internship for the summer of this year, which was really good. So Purdue trains us in a way that we actually can, like maybe for interviews, if we go there and we actually have mock interviews, which would help us like be less nervous and talk to them with more confidence, which I usually need. So I think that was really helpful for me. Yeah.
One thing too, a lot of Purdue alumni like to come back and recruit from their own companies. One of the companies that I'm talking to right now for a full-time position, their president was in my organizational leadership program and graduated from Purdue. So you get that a lot at the career fairs too. They're so excited to come back and be on campus and recruit the students because they know how valuable our degrees are. So that's kind of a fun aspect of it too. When you get to talk to those representatives, like you said, a lot of them are like, no way, like I came from that program too, or I graduated from Purdue. So that's a really cool aspect of it. The alumni network always comes back and understands the value of our education.
So you mentioned the career fair. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, what your experience was like interacting with companies during the career fairs?
Sure. So, yeah, I'll start, I guess.
Sure.
So the career fairs are a really great opportunity, as Rudy said, for not only for you to look for a job, but also to interact with these companies. You may not be looking for a position or full-time position right now, but you can get to talk to them, talk about the kind of individuals that they're looking for when you are searching for a full-time position. And it's a great opportunity to build your communication skills, build your personal network, and again, also look for a position. So basically, it is just a bunch of tables set up where the companies put together all their information. They have a couple representatives from the company ready to talk to you, and you take a look and see which companies you're interested in possibly working for, and go and talk about the position, your skills, how you might fit with their company, and what the opportunities they have for you are.
So the different types of career fairs that we have one really big career fair called Industrial Roundtable that's usually around the middle or end of September. That's held out actually in the Memorial Mall, which is like one of our largest areas, and there's like over 200 employers there, so you have a lot of options in that aspect. And it's very competitive, but if you're ready and prepared, kind of like he said, to talk to representatives and about the positions and things like that, you're not going to have a problem. And besides the Industrial Roundtable, there's always career fairs. There's one for the Purdue Polytechnic. There's other ones that might overlap with your major that I know a lot of other people go to as well, just to kind of cover all their bases and kind of see if they want to keep checking out a certain company or just talk to other companies. So there's so many career fairs that you really can network at. The opportunities are really endless at any of these. So,
anything to add to that?
Not really.
Okay. I will let you all know that we did, as the Polytechnic Institute, just launch Tech Connect So it's a way for employers to post full-time job opportunities and job internships, and for our students to post a profile and resume, so that way it's almost like a Match.com of job opportunities, essentially. So employers can look for students who have the skills that they're looking for, and students can look for internship and full-time job opportunities that are coming up for them. We actually have another question from our chat. Did anybody participate in the Honors College as a student incoming? No? Okay, none of you all, sorry. So sorry we can't answer that question specifically about the Honors College, but I know they have some great information at their website, honors.purdue.edu, so if you want to check that out, hopefully you'll be able to get into contact with somebody in their office as well if you have some further questions. Another one had a clarifying question about learning communities. So somebody asked if it was more like a club or just like a meeting or more like a membership that you're a part of. Could you tell a little bit more about what exactly learning community would be for you as a student?
Yeah, so my experience was probably a little less involved just because I didn't have the living component. But basically, the format of my learning community, we met up once a week for an hour and a half, and they paired us up with a sophomore or a junior that was in my program of study. And so that there was kind of that mentoring aspect of it, and we kind of did different activities, kind of like she explained. And so we would kind of do activities that would help acclimate us to campus, or that would help us kind of spur discussions about what type of projects we'd be working on, what type of classes we'd be entering into. So that was kind of a little, it was really good because I got to create kind of that support system, but it was only once a week for an hour and a half, so it wasn't too involved. But I wouldn't necessarily call it an organization, but it definitely felt more of like a membership in a learning community. So it's a little more involved than an organization, but it's definitely a good support system. So I would recommend it. But
No, I think that's a good clarification for sure. The focus really for the learning communities here at Purdue are very academic, so we want to make sure that you are connected with those courseworks, with those courses that, for those that do have courses associated, but at least there's going to be some sort of faculty or staff member directly related to an academic department here on campus that will help you get connected not only with that department but just the other resources like Lindsay mentioned, so you get transitioned into Purdue very easily, understand what can be helpful for you to succeed in your coursework, not just the ones that you're taking with that learning community, but even getting introduced to research libraries or writing labs. The CCO, as we mentioned before, typically we'll see some learning communities go and visit with them so they know what the resources are, what kind of interview help they will give, resume building, those types of things. So it's really basically just to get you introduced to Purdue and help you transition while having that experience in the academic coursework beyond that. All right. So for the seniors in the group, we already talked about career fair. What other kind of job placement assistance did you seek out, or with the CCO at all? Have you done that?
I personally did not necessarily seek out assistance from the CCO in terms of finding my job. The career fair was really instrumental in helping me find my full-time position, but also our instructors, I guess, are an awesome resource for us as well. Many of them are faculty that have experience in the industry, so they have a network already built, so they can connect you with these companies that are looking. Many of the companies will send them emails directly looking for specific students, and then they'll send out emails to their classes or to their student base that they're in a network with. So it's a really great opportunity to not only build your network, but also to get advice about what kind of job should I take? What should I be looking for? Maybe what should my salary look like in my particular industry? So definitely use your instructors and professors as a resource as well in your job search.
Yeah, so with my job search, I actually use CCO pretty heavily just because I felt like I came in with not really knowing what I was doing. And so I went to them for quite a few resume critiques to help me find my first summer internship. And I'm pretty sure that's how I got it, because I went to the CCO and they looked over my resume and changed it up quite a bit. And then I also utilized their mock interviewing process. And so I had never really been formally interviewed for an internship position or any type of position. And so I kind of wanted to just feel around and understand what that felt like. And that really helped me with getting my first internship and so on. And kind of what questions they would ask and kind of what projects I had to have in mind and what I had to kind of explain and have ready for an interview. So That in that aspect, I think CCO really helped me get my internships in that way. And kind of like I mentioned before, CCO has a website that I frequently go onto where you can post your resume and kind of other information about you, so that when employers do go to post their jobs, they can also look you up and see if they think you're a good fit for the position or anything like that. They can actually directly contact you. So I would definitely recommend maybe putting some information and resume stuff on there. So that's kind of a really cool tool that you can use that Purdue provides, and I would definitely recommend using that. So.
And I'd also just like to say that about that system that you were talking about, it actually works. I've put my resume up and my profile on, and I have received several emails from companies saying that they found me through the CCO's resume book, so it actually does work, and it is useful.
Proven.
Excellent. So we actually have a student, international student with a question maybe you'll be able to help with. He wants to know what he should do after he submits his passport information and financial statement. So what kind of steps would he need to take going forward from there, if you remember that process coming into Purdue here?
I'm not entirely sure about like how I went about it, but then I remember that after I submitted my passport information and financial statements, I got an email from them, and I actually got a mail with all my documents to go forward with the process. I think it came about in 2 to 3 weeks after that. So they sent a whole package with the I-20 and all the other information with all the steps written in it. So you can do this after this, and then I'd go ahead and do all the formalities.
Okay, excellent. So it's very helpful, the information that you received from Purdue.
Yeah.
Awesome, that's good to know. We have another question from our chat. Student wants to know, do you feel that the hands-on approach of the Purdue Polytechnic gives you a competitive edge over students maybe from the College of Engineering who are looking for employment or internships, things like that?
I will be the first one to answer that because I am huge on that. I have every company that I've talked to or have interned with, they all love that I have that experience. I don't have to have as much training when I go in, and it's just a different style of learning that I think gives us the ability to problem solve. It's really, when you go to your labs and have to use your hands, there's a lot of problems you have to solve, and a lot of times you're not necessarily on your own because there are the people there to help you, but they teach you the skills to figure it out for yourself. So when you go to the job, you have that advantage over other individuals that maybe don't have the experience with working with their hands quite so soon on the job. So big proponent. I definitely think that gives us a leg up in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that once you find a job, you hit the ground running. It's not one of those things that you have to stay stagnant for a while and kind of go through a bunch of training. I think a lot of employers have come back to Purdue with feedback about that and how they come to Purdue and hire students in the Purdue Polytechnic just because we have that hands-on experience and we're ready to go the second we step into a factory or the second we step into any type of setting or professional setting, that we are ready to have those types of experiences, and they don't feel like they have to take steps back or slow down. We're right there next to them and ready to contribute. So I definitely think that hands-on approach gives us a huge competitive advantage over other learning styles.
Anything else you want to add to that?
I just say that when I talk to companies, one thing I've always put forward is that being in Polytechnic always gave me the hands-on projects. So I think that it really stood out to them because a lot of them would say that, okay, then if you have hands-on experience, I think it would work really well because the training would be an easier process for me when I get into the company, because I have an idea of how things would be, because I know how to work with teams, because there are different kinds of people in a team. So I know how to do that really well, and we know how to solve our problems and get efficient solutions in businesses and things like that, and the companies are really appreciative of that fact, so I think it does give us an advantage.
Awesome. Okay. What would you say your experience between your first semester was and your second semester? Was there a big difference between the two? Any things that students might be aware of, or what you would want them to be aware of as they transition to Purdue? What kind of challenges they might face going into that second semester, or even second year beyond that?
I would say that my first year was pretty similar. I had a really easy transition to Purdue and to the Polytechnic in general, so I definitely didn't experience any road bumps, which is a good sign. I will say that my second year So my sophomore year here at Purdue, definitely, I think the toughness level ramped up just a little bit. I think I had more on my plate. There was more to contend with in terms of my classes. So it was definitely kind of not a speed bump, but it was definitely a good challenge that second year for me. And I know there are a couple other students that I've talked with as well that have said that their sophomore year was perhaps their hardest in their 4 years here at Purdue. So just be ready for it. Know that it's a challenge that you can accomplish. So I did it, so you can too. Don't let that stall you. But I think the big part about that is I had an easy transition here. My first year was fantastic. My second year was a good learning experience and a good opportunity for me to grow. And then the last 2 years have been great as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just obviously Purdue wants you to keep building on the skills that you've learned in the prior semester, so it does get increasingly more challenging as you go on, which is a good thing because I think that also prepares you for when you do graduate. But for me, my first semester was a little harder just because I'd never really been to the Midwest, and Purdue is kind of a far, which I know you're coming from area, so I shouldn't be saying this, but it was a little bit of an adjustment for me. So my first semester was a little tougher than I was anticipating, a little more homesick than I thought I was going to be, but Purdue does a really good job of really making you feel welcome and really giving you so many opportunities to get involved in organizations and different types of activities that kind of make you feel at home and really get involved in your classes and outside activities. So my first semester was a little bumpy for me, just kind of acclimating in that sense, but the following semester I felt like I started to get into the swing of things and really start to understand what was required with me with studies and extracurriculars and things like that. So it definitely does take some assimilation, but it happens. It happens eventually.
Yeah. So coming from like another country was a very life-changing thing for me. I would say that first of all, the way academics are done in India was completely different from how it's done here. So I think my first semester was like transitioning into a different kind of way of how we learn things. So it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's a bump. I would say that's really interesting because I think that's one of the things that actually got me here, because I thought that I was more of a person who would learn hands-on than do something theoretically. And another thing is, like she said, but in a different aspect, homesickness. And like one thing that helped me with that was a lot of people I knew were like from the same country, so they had the same experiences. And there are a lot of communities here as well where you would actually meet people maybe from the same country as you, so you wouldn't feel that homesick because you would have friends from the same country, so you'd feel like you're at home, which is a good thing. And other than that, I think it's been a pretty good experience because every semester here I had something new to learn about myself and about like maybe improve myself and like learn things in a better way. So Purdue has been a pretty good experience so far.
Very cool. What would be some advice that you would give to the seniors finishing up their last semester of high school, getting ready to come join us here at Purdue? What would be some advice that you might give them before they start this transition?
One piece of advice, I know there's probably some people like me out there, but I was really nervous. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and that kind of freaked me out a little. But like I said before, like Purdue has so many activities and so many opportunities to get involved that you kind of just find your place at Purdue. You start to really obviously love your major and just get into the classes and find your friends and really kind of like get into the swing of things. So don't freak out. Everything happens for a reason, and everything kind of works its way out with BGR and STAR and all that. I know it might sound overwhelming to some people, but Purdue is really good at handling all of the details of everything and getting you into the classes that you need and everything like that. So my advice would be don't freak out. Everything's going to work out, and Purdue has it under control, and they're going to find a perfect place for you.
I would just kind of second what you had to say. Purdue does a really great job of getting you acclimated to the campus and college life. So I had a lot of worries also. There was a lot of things that I thought were up in the air that Purdue just handled and didn't need my involvement. So just, again, like Lindsay said, just stay calm. Everything will work out. There seems like there's a lot to do, but there's really less than you think. In terms of academics, hang in there, stay strong, finish your senior year on a good note, and then you can hit the ground running when you get to college, and it'll be like there was no transition at all?
I wouldn't say much because they said almost everything. All I'll say is actually try to keep the nervousness aside and be a little excited because it's all worth it. Like I was really excited, and coming here it just didn't dampen my excitement. I got a lot more excited once I met people and I saw loads of new freshmen who were excited about their classes and things like that. So just don't be nervous, and actually because it'll make you a lot more happier when you come here and you see a place where there are a lot of other people who are going through the same thing you did, and you can it's pretty interesting.
All right, I think we might end on this question. For those who might be on the fence about choosing Purdue and Purdue Polytechnic specifically, what was it about Purdue that you knew this is the place that you wanted to be? That final information bit that you got, or that advice from a previous student or current student before that you met maybe with, what was it that really brought you here in the end?
So for me, actually, it was my advisor. So first time I came on Purdue campus was in the heart of winter, and I was not ready for it, and I froze my butt off. But I actually, kind of on a whim, went to the third floor where my major is housed, and kind of just went for it and was asking to see if my advisor was available. And they were actually going through a move at the time, but I went up to that floor, and my advisor was moving a bunch of boxes, and she dropped everything, took me into a room, and talked to me and my parents for an hour and a half about kind of what my major would entail, the curriculum, all the classes that I'd be taking, organizations that are kind of closely tied with my major. And just the time that she took with me was absolutely amazing, and more than any other university that I experienced. And I've stayed in contact with her now. I actually work with her, but she's been a blessing in disguise. She's been my resource, and so she kind of was the one that really pulled me to Purdue. And kind of even during the heart of winter, I felt like that was the place for me. It kind of had everything on my checklist with sports, the school sides, the academics, the organizations, the alumni network. It just had everything that I could ever want. So Purdue was kind of, once I got there and thought about it it was like less than 24 hours, I was like, I know this is where I want to go. So it kind of all clicked for me then. So.
It's kind of funny that you say that because I actually had a very similar story. I was actually torn between 3 different colleges. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And I actually came to Purdue in the middle of the summer. It wasn't the winter. But I got to meet with my advisor, and I felt extremely welcome. He helped me understand the curriculum, the things that I would be doing, what life was like here at Purdue and as part of the Polytechnic. The types of classes that I would be taking, the types of projects that I would be working on. He gave me a tour of the building and the Polytechnic home base, basically. And on the ride home, I was like, well, that's where I'm going. I've made my decision. So it was really great. That was kind of what pulled me in, is just really understanding what the Polytechnic was about, understanding that their major was really centered around what I would need in the workforce and to get a good job. Really made my decision for me.
About Purdue, I had heard a lot from my seniors and also my friends who are currently here with me, and I had heard a lot of good things about Purdue, and I was pretty certain about my decision. But one thing that actually stood out to me was the flexibility of the program in Polytechnic. So actually, like when I looked at the plan of study, I realized that I could do like the major related subjects, like maybe some programming courses, but I could also go into things like I could take like any economics course, maybe an arts course. Like the fact that I get that flexibility is what I think made me come here.
Well, thank you all very much for sharing your experiences and your information with our admitted students out there who are interested in our Polytechnic Institute. I want to thank you all for joining us as well and sending in your questions. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to email us at techrecruit@purdue.edu, and we'll be happy to send you information and let you know the answers to your questions that you have. I also want to thank our students behind the scenes and John here for setting this up and responding to those chat questions and making sure this was all possible. I do want to let you know that we do have another broadcast on Tuesday, April 18th, same time, same bat channel, 7 Eastern. We'll send out another email with a link to that as well. So in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you for joining us again, and boiler up.